Hello, I'm Dennis Holman, your host for this edition of the Andrew Richter Show. On my right, your left, is Andrew Richter, whom you all know. And on my left, your right, is Ron Stoffel.
Yes, I'm here again as the numbers guy.
Yes.
And we'll be focusing today on education, specifically District 281. And we're going to start off by doing making a few comments about the magnet informational meeting that is the magnet school that's being proposed for Olson School. So who wants to start off today?
Go ahead, Ron.
I guess both Andrew and I were at the meeting that happened on this past Wednesday, the 27th of April. And the district put together an information meeting for the community. There was about 50 to 52 people in attendance, over and above what the school had brought with it. The superintendent was there and a couple presenters, and the committee.
The place should have been packed.
Yes, they had chairs available. They were, unfortunately, I was disappointed too that more people weren't. It did start a little early. They started at 6 o'clock, which I think is not a good time to start in my mind. It should have been more 7 o'clock.
I work for a living, so it's
well, yeah, and that's the problem with wording like that. But nobody came later either, so I don't know if people didn't think. But they put together probably, I would say, about a 45-minute presentation going over the scenarios. There's really 3 scenarios that they had come up with through their committee process that they started last fall. They had presented these to the board already and wanted input from the community. And the biggest thing that I took out of it from their presentation, we'll get into the reaction from the citizens after, was that each of the 3 proposals, 2 of the proposals are Robbinsdale Spanish immersion expansion, model or scenario 1 and scenario 2, and then scenario 3 was a new elementary. All this is elementary based STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math that's coming into, and also that is going to be part of the standards. But this would be, again, magnet means concentration. So all the kids there would be on the same program, all of them immersed in that, versus expanding Spanish immersion program to Olson. And the only difference between scenario 1 and 2 was they would bring it in, phase it in a little slower the first year with Olson. The other one was to get everything all in 1 year. But the main thing what I want to get before I get off my point is none of these make any money. In other words, they all cost all the way up till the 5th year is before they turn around. So there's an investment, and before the additional revenue that they're having pays for all the costs, it takes 5 years in any one of the programs.
Now, Ron, on this show, we don't call it an investment. We call it tax dollars.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Dollars.
I was being politically correct for every politically correct person out there.
Well, 2 other things that I think to take away from this. One of the things is that they're other than just the money, and the money I always scoff at when government gives me a 13-year projection. I mean, who in 1998 could have predicted 2011? So I think those numbers we can take with a little grain of salt. The other thing I think that people ought to know is that the process for getting into this school would require, Ron, more people from outside the district to get new money because so much of the money is based on enrollment. Am I right there?
Right. Yeah. And on each one of the scenarios, it's anywhere from 33 students out of 198, I believe, in the Spanish immersion because they're expanding more classrooms because they already have an elementary. So the expansion would be more total per grade level. So 33 per grade level has to come outside of the currently enrolled Robbinsdale students. So that either comes from open enrollment of outside the district or open enrollment back in, or resident students coming from outside the district
back into 281.
So I guess that would be unenrolling. I don't know if that's a terminology that can be used, but that's a resident student coming back that has left. And they made it kind of clear that they weren't anticipating as many of those.
It'd be to prevent people from going is the theme I got.
Right.
And now on the STEM one, it was 1/3 right?
Right. It was
one-third
22
that could come
out of 66 because again, because Olson would be the only magnet for STEM, there would be 66 students per class or per grade level. So 1/3 of those. The other one was more like 18% because they have more sections per class or per grade level already because of RMS. But yes, it was retention. That was the biggest thing. Is they were closing the gate finally and locking it with these magnet schools.
Okay, let me help me understand this. Don't we already have in 281 a Spanish immersion school?
Yes, the old Sunny Hollow Elementary is now
Yep.
Spanish immersion.
And the issue that has come up, and I guess this from a fact standpoint is legitimate, is they have a waiting list of up to 130 to 150 per year getting into that over and above what they can. So what their premise is they already have a demand that they can fill it up. So they felt more comfortable from Dr. Sicoli's perspective on the numbers for the Robbinsdale Spanish immersion because they already had numbers. They have a backlog over the last 4 years, I think, is where they looked at of where the backlog is.
And what's been happening, the people not getting in are choosing some other
a portion of that, not all of them, but a portion of that.
I think they said 45% was what I
Yeah,
heard.
I think it was around. It was a little less than 50% where we're going outside. And again, I wasn't clear, and I don't know the numbers. Hopefully, they're supposed to put all of the information on the website in the next couple of weeks. Is if those were open enroll because after the last year or two, they opened a specific amount of slots to open enrollees into there. Before it was all first come, first serve on resident. And that was about the only thing that got in.
You know, the thing that I think is confusing to me is I get the financial part that they need, quote, new revenue to make this viable because they need because so much of our funding is based on student population. But if I had a kid, and I have to get a date first, so I don't have any kids, but if I had a kid and I wanted to get into Spanish immersion, and somebody from outside the district got put in line ahead of me, wouldn't that make me want to leave more than the current system right now? I mean, if retention is what we're after, but we have to make this financially feasible, bring in kids from outside the district and put them in front of the line, how's that going to make people want to stay here more?
In my mind, it doesn't.
No, it wouldn't for me either.
Yeah,
It's just counterintuitive to me to do that.
It just seems like the two goals are contradictory
Right.
in a lot of ways. So,
And they do. And the only thing I would bring up, too, is magnet schools. There was an article in the Star Tribune on April 21st talking about the St. Paul School District, and they're cutting, I believe, 8 or 9 of their magnet schools because somehow they got out of control. Those students were having lower test scores than the surrounding neighborhood schools. So again, magnet is not a super bullet out there. One of the things that did come up that I heard loud and clear from the audience was before you do magnet, you need to do a better job on the achievement gap and the regular neighborhood schools before that. That was pretty clear. And if you're going to do this, I got the impression, and I'll let Andrew chime in, that they would prefer to see these types of programs put in the neighborhood schools before you open another magnet school.
school within a school, I think they called it. Yeah.
Right.
And it's interesting because we had, and for people who weren't there, we had these little clickers that were instant reactions. You could press a button and it would show up on the screen, and it was a very mixed reaction it was a very wide range of opinion to people who did not want it at all, who wanted one and not the other. I mean, I don't know how the information is going to be interpreted by the powers that be at 281.
Right. So I think that in my opinion, is a better way of doing it because there is a stigma out there, and I think that they know that Spanish immersion is considered to be an elitist school.
Yeah. Increase the opportunity for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And one is its transportation costs. And I brought that up to the superintendent and asking him if they had put into place these vast increases in fuel costs for transportation. Because this magnet school, no matter where you live, the bus will come and pick you up if you're in the lottery and get to be put into one of these schools. And again, lottery and stuff has a bad thing with, if anybody that's seen Waiting for Superman, I don't think that's the way to go. I think that you need to, if you think these programs are the right way to go, and I'll leave it up to the experts in that regard, those need to be in the neighborhood schools. School within the school makes much more sense in my mind than doing a magnet.
And Olson, is in the southeast corner of the district. It's going to be a travel for almost anybody to get there.
It's in the
Not as
south,
much as
south
Pilgrim
central.
Lane.
It's south
Yeah, I
central.
suppose Golden Valley. Yeah.
Golden Valley, but it's southern part of it. But yeah, in my mind, if these are the programs, and that I think, in my opinion, is more important, are these programs something that is valuable and will help with the achievement gap, with the learning of your elementary school and stuff like that, then you need to have it inside of each neighborhood school and not make it a kind of
school.
You
where
have to, yeah,
you
have
only
to be,
get it if your name's
right. You need a
chosen
lottery
in
type
in
thing,
a hat.
and you can expand. We've got our buildings. The other thing is, I was on the investiture committee. We're supposed to be getting rid of these buildings to take care of costs such as Northport, Lakeview, that need to be coming up, and they're trying to hang on to them. So I'm getting the indication that they still want to be in the real estate business rather than the education business.